So please explain the hemorrhaging of the black vote, particularly black men.
I can't. Well, all right. Let's start. Joe Biden has been the best president economically that Black America's ever had.
What you talking about, Luke?
You know, Solomon said there is nothing new under the sun, and he was absolutely right about that. Technology changes, things change, situations change, but people remain the same. And one thing about people, if they have had influence, they don't like to lose that influence. They don't like to be relegated to irrelevance. The reason the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media hates online media is it is putting them out to pasture. It is making them irrelevant. And even political operatives, those who at one time were on top of their game and may have even opened the doors to the White House for their candidate. It's hard for them to get to a place where they can't admit they really don't have their hand on the pulse of what's going on with America. And everything they say is a bit off. Enter the Ragin' Cajun, James Carville. We're going to take a look at some advice that James is giving the Democrat Party and why we hope on the Trump side of the aisle he keeps giving them this advice.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That'll give you a notification of my rants, my ravings, and yes, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. That's the way that we get the word out that we're here. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. James Carville, the Ragin' Cajun from Louisiana, was the brain trust behind Bill Clinton and getting him elected the first time. It's the economy, stupid. That was the message that George Bush, I should say George H.W. Bush, just wasn't connecting with the American voter on. And Bill Clinton came in with all of his flaws, all of his character issues, the fact that he smoked pot but he didn't inhale, the fact that, well, he was known to have dalliances with females. None of that mattered because the American people were feeling it in the economy, and he wasn't connecting with it. And James Carville couldn't believe that a guy like George H.W., who had a near 90% approval rating after the, Gulf War where they pushed Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait, a year and a half later was literally in the toilet with his numbers. And James Carville and George Snuffleupagus, they ran the score up on old George and absolutely wiped the floor up with him. Fast forward to now. James Carville and the rest of the strategists within the Democratic Party know they're in trouble. They don't know how to fix it. And they can't get back to that simple understanding of, look at this economy. And not only look at this economy, look at our broken borders, look at all of this woke crapola that you have unleashed on us, and this is why you are absolutely getting trounced. Now, Carville gets it, and he doesn't get it when he was asked this question.
So please explain the hemorrhaging of the black vote, particularly black men.
I can't. Well, all right. Let's start. Joe Biden has been the best president economically that Black America's ever had.
See, this is what happens when you go from being a political operative who's got his hand on the pulse of the American people, knows what the problem is, and can speak frankly to his candidate, to when you become just another guy on the team and you'll do anything to get your team back in the game and not necessarily what's right for the country, what's right for the people. It's all about the team. So here is James Carville, who wants to spin this narrative that is absolutely false, that nobody has done more for Black America than Joe Biden, especially on the economy. That's not true. The economy was the best it has ever been for black Americans under Donald J. Trump, and that is beyond dispute. Their unemployment was the lowest. Their income was the highest. There were businesses that Donald Trump was bringing back into the black neighborhoods, inner cities of America. What destroyed all of that was the Summer of Love and the George Floyd protest, when Democrats thought it would be a good idea to defund the police and just literally let anarchists run wild in the streets, taking over police stations, toppling statues, burning Walgreens and other stores to the ground, and then mass looting, and all of these district attorneys deciding they didn't have time to prosecute these people because they needed to get Trump. And the communities of color saw this. Hispanic communities are outraged that they came here legally, they did it right, they assimilated, have become part of the American culture, and now they're watching people just come in here illegally and being given credit cards and being given free places to stay and free health care, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's very much a criminal element. And they're angry about this, and the Democratic Party is not acknowledging this. Black Americans are feeling it in the economy. And yes, they're tired of all the wokeism. See, the Democrats haven't figured out that black people and Hispanic people, when it comes to the personal way they live their lives, they're more conservative than they are liberal. They like a traditional home. They like the concept of a mom, a dad, and they like the idea of distinct gender roles, and that men should be the strong leader within the home. Now, you can keep all of your revisionist history and your re-education and you trying to, quote unquote, fix society with all of your wokeism, but that is the truth. When Bill Maher the other night says the best Father's Day gift we can give to dads in America is let them be dads again, let them be traditional dads again, who look at children and discipline them and hold them accountable and tell them that no means no, and because I said so is a good enough answer because you're a child. Boom! But what happens in this culture? Liberals want to fix. Liberals want to adjust. Liberals want to tinker. And in all of their tinkering, they have become harpy and preachy. And James Carville hit on this.
What's happened, I've said this before, part of it is a male problem. We have a huge male problem.
Yes, sir.
We have a huge male problem all across the board, but particularly, I hate this term, but I'll use it, communities of color, like as if all people that are not white are the same. It's stupid. And I do think, and people got a little upset with me when I told Maureen, New York Times, but I think democratic culture has too many preachy females. It's too much. Don't eat hamburgers. Don't watch football. All right, wear condom. Like, man, leave me alone. You okay? I got a life to lead. Guy works at a tire repair shop in suburban Atlanta. Working 50 hours a week, making $16.50 an hour, and he wants to watch the football game. He wants to smoke dope and drink beer, and then everybody's telling him he's slothful, and they reject that. And I just think some of it is cosmopolitan condensation, if you will. Like, you need to lead the kind of life we lead, not the kind of life you lead. And it pisses people off.
Well, that's across the board. That's black, white. That's a big part of Trump. That's a big part of Trump.
It's Hispanic. We're going to lose Hispanic males.
Yeah.
We're going to lose them.
And that's on that male-female issue. That's on that. I mean, it very much, they want to see the strong, this is a generalization, but strong, dominant male in a household.
Well, he's more right than he is wrong, but again, he still misses it. He's right. Men especially want to live their lives. They want to earn a living. They want to come home and kick back and relax. And they don't want to be told that because they put a American flag out that somehow they're oppressing somebody. They don't want to be told that because they eat a fat dog, i.e. a hot dog, that, you know, that they are killing the planet. They don't want to be told that because they've got cars that go fast and, you know, they like to tinker with them in the garage and they like a muscle car. They don't want to be told that they are raping the natural resources of Mother Earth. And they're pushing the men away. And James forgot to mention that men are being blamed for everything. Men are the cause of all the disease, all the wars, etc., etc., etc. And men are pretty much sick and tired of being blamed for everything. And all the social ills, and if men would just be better, stop being a toxic male. And so because he doesn't acknowledge that, and he sticks to this fantasy that nobody has done more for the black community, he even went on to say in that answer that Joe Biden has done more for black America than Bill Clinton or Barack Obama. It was Joe Biden's crime bill of the 1990s that has all but destroyed the American black family. And he's proud of it. Joe Biden has appointed more black people to positions of power than anybody else. Again, not true. And again, most black Americans don't care because Joe Biden seems to keep nominating these preachy, woke women of color who just want to lecture men all day on how the fact that they are alive and they are male is the reason we have all these problems. And this is what men, whether they be black, Hispanic, Asian, white, are rejecting. And it's why they're drawn to Donald Trump. Now, Carville kind of gets that. And then his host, Donny Deutsch. Donny Deutsch, one of these billionaires who's never done anything. His dad built a company and he took it over. You know, so he comes from money, he comes from privilege. And some might say, well, Pastor Manny, what about the Trump sons? You know, Don Jr. and Eric have each had to contribute within the Trump organization. They've had to create new divisions. They have had to open up new streams of revenue. In other words, they have expanded and they have grown the Trump name. Yes, Donald started it, but Eric has added to it. Don Jr. added to it. Ivanka not only added to it, she created some of her own brands and product lines. So there is no comparison, and I think Barron's going to outdo all of them. I really do. But Donny Deutsch, typical little rich who took over daddy's company, and then somehow he got a gig on CNBC or PMSNBC, one of those, and now he's a regular on the Joe Scumbag show with his pole dancing wife, Mika Brzezinski. And he just gives his opinion. Okay, opinion from a guy who's never actually built or done anything, but boy, he knows how everything ought to be done. See, he's what happens when a son takes over a business and then runs it into the ground because he's got all these ideas that his dad didn't want to do, and his dad held back, and his dad wasn't forward thinking, and his dad didn't get how things work, but I get it. And then, you know, within a couple of years, it's bankrupt. So here's Donny Deutsch, and he's got the solution now that will stop Trump and turn this thing around.
There's no silver bullet, but there is one bronze bullet that if we could do this, this is to me the most compelling single message. You get Millie, McMaster, Mattis, and Kelly to camera, black and white, saying we are not going to be safe with this guy. Not as cabinet members, the generals, the four generals.
I think
Mount Rushmore, if they said it in the most heartfelt way, say, look, I'm not, this is not Democrat, this is not Republican, this is not, I'm just talking about my grandchildren, and we are not going to be safe. That's a compelling message.
I think something like that is coming. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think I would throw Liz Cheney Chris Christie, into that mix. I think you got 22% of these Republican voters in places like Nebraska, Indiana, that are coming out and voting for Nikki Haley. I think some people just need a permission structure.
Yes,
to say,
exactly.
okay, I'm not a Democrat, but this is a one-off vote, or maybe a one-off not vote. I'm just not going to vote. If you take a predictable Republican voter, and I agree with you that these national security people, and I think some can come out of the Justice Department and the intelligence community also. I think the symbolism there is important, where people who've never voted or very rarely ever vote for a Democrat have permission not to vote for Trump. I don't have to feel bad about myself. There are people that think like me that are doing this.
Now you can tell from the cringe look on James Carville's face when Donny Deutsch first started this that he's thinking, man, it's a really stupid idea. You dumb mother, what a stupid idea. But here's the problem. The longer you let stupid talk, the more you begin to listen. And if you begin to listen, you begin to think, well, maybe it's not so stupid. When I was coaching varsity basketball, I had something I used to say to my teams all the time, especially when we were in a close game against a team that we absolutely should not have been close with. It should have been a complete and total blowout. And every once in a while, I'd have to call a timeout, not to draw up a new strategy or a new plan, but just to give my boys this reality check. And I would say something like this to my fellows in the huddle. The longer you let a lesser team hang around, the longer they begin to believe they can beat you. The longer you let a Donny Deutsch think he's got valid opinions, then you get caught up in the madness, and then you start spewing stupidity too. All right, so Donny Deutsch says, let's put the generals out there. These corrupt generals? These corrupt warmongering generals that want to be at war with everybody somewhere all the time, and Trump is the danger? See, and again, Donny doesn't, you talk about a guy who's like in marketing and sales, and I think he even was in real estate, which probably why he hates Trump, because Trump probably ate his lunch in multi-million-dollar deals all over the city of New York and made him look stupid. Of course, he is stupid. He didn't start anything. He's just the son of the guy that did start it and then ran it into the ground. That's Donny Deutsch. But this, you're going to keep selling people on this. If Donald Trump becomes the president, America's in danger, and the generals need to let America know that. The average American understands that there were no new wars started under Donald Trump. Then you get, James Carville says, we need to get the other intelligence communities in there, CIA, right, because they haven't been weaponized enough. See, again, this is what happens when a guy who, like James Carville, who I think at one time, doesn't mean I agree with him politically, but I thought he was a brilliant strategist. He ate George H.W. Bush's lunch. He was 5 steps ahead of him through that whole campaign. And then a few years later, they ate up Bob Dole like he wasn't even there. I mean, hats off to James Carville. He understood the 90s. He doesn't get the 2020s at all on any level. He just doesn't. Hey, he's fun to listen to. Sometimes he talks about, watching Joe Biden and the colossal way that he's sinking the Democrat Party. That's like seeing your grandma naked. You can't unsee it. I mean, it's a funny turn of phrase, but to say and not get that after Donald Trump was found guilty, that was another major reason why particular black men are flocking to Donald Trump. They identify with him, and they now see him as one of their own, somebody who has been shafted by the system. And your solution is to go out and tell these people, hey, the system doesn't want Trump. That's why you can trust us. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how just tone deaf they are. And again, we'll put Liz Cheney out there and Chris Christie to give the Republicans permission. They don't have to vote for Trump. You do understand that Republicans hate Liz Cheney. They kicked her out of the party. She got voted out. Republicans are totally done with Fudgy the Whale, Chris Christie. And this idea we're going to give them permission that they don't have to vote doesn't mean they're not a Republican anymore, but they can vote for Joe Biden or they cannot vote. No, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Even the Nikki Haley supporters, even a lot of the people who, among the, like Trump, a lot of them are going to end up voting for Trump because they know we can't do 4 more years of Joe Biden and these policies. We can't have 4 more years of this Build Back Better economy and this crisis at the southern border and the fact that he is like this zealot neo-dictator, fascist, who at the drop of a hat will strip us of our rights because we've got a health crisis and you will take this magic elixir. You're not getting it, James. You've lost your touch. You've lost the pulse of the American people. Donald Trump's numbers are in the landslide category if this election is allowed to play out fairly. So we shall see. All I can say is, hey, I hope Donny Deutsch and James Carville, I hope the Democrats listen to them, and I hope they make TV commercials with the generals. Hey, Biden just spent $50 million in an ad buy to talk about Donald Trump as a convicted felon. Watch Donald's poll numbers go up. Because all Donald Trump has to do is just start showing video clips of Joe Biden over the last 72 hours standing in the middle of groups of people, and it is painfully evident he has no idea where he is or what's going on. And it's a simple vote. Do you want the guy that was mentally able to stand trial be the president, or the guy that the only reason he's not being tried for a documents case like a Donald Trump, he's been deemed mentally unfit to stand trial? Boom.